Listen, we are talking about stories of love, revenge, and betrayal. For everyone watching, I do want to warn you that our next story contains very serious subject matter, including sexual assault and pedophilia. So, viewers, please, discretion is advised. I wanted to bring our next guest on because I saw the work of her documentary. It's called Great Photo, Lovely Life. I could not sleep after I watched it on Max. She shares her 8-year journey to shed light on her family's secret shame. After her grandmother passed away, photographer Amanda Mustard decided to look into the family's jokes about her grandfather, William, and why she often heard him described as creepy. For the next 8 years, Amanda would piece together what her grandfather allegedly did and who suffered the consequences. What Amanda uncovered was a decades-long history of alleged predatory behavior and sexual abuse of young girls, some allegedly as young as 5. He was only ever convicted in 2 cases, one which resulted in the loss of his chiropractic license, and another where he served 2.5 years of a 4-year prison sentence. But before he passed away, Amanda bravely, along with her mother, Debbie, interviewed him on camera and asked point blank about these convictions and allegations. Depths of Amanda discovered were huge. It was a huge first step. And she went on this journey and brought viewers along to help other families. Take a look.
I had this new language to describe things that for my whole life I thought were just normal. Like the way that some men treated me and my body, that was actually assault. Or my touchy-feely grandpa is actually a pedophile.
When I watch these tapes, I see a man with a serious problem who knows that he's not going to get caught.
Was there anybody that you ever felt like you could talk to about it? Do you feel like God has forgiven you?
Absolutely.
Please welcome Amanda Mustard to our show. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. You obviously did the work, you watched, but it's your life. And telling this story, I still have to ask the basic question, why did you want to share it with the world?
I knew that I was going to be exploring this in my family, and you know, I thought that if I can share this story and help one other person through this, I didn't necessarily know where it was going, then it was going to be worth it. Even
in the trailer, you lay out so much. The reaction has been tremendous. What's been the most surprising reaction that you've received?
I'm really blown away at how many people feel seen by this. It's really upsetting, but also I made this film because I knew that I didn't see my experience on screen with just how complex and messy that it is to be related to somebody like this.
In interviewing, how many hours did you interview your grandfather?
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours. I always wonder what the day is like before.
Stressful.
Right? To say the least.
Very stressful. Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect him to be as candid as he was.
What did you expect from him in the interview?
I wanted to ask some questions about how, our family became as dysfunctional as it was. And, my grandmother had passed maybe 5 days before this. So it was all very fresh for us. So
because some of the victims were in your own family.
Yes. Most of the women in my family are victims.
Most. Were there members of the family who said, don't do it?
No, there were members of the family who did not want to be a part of it and, weren't in a place to talk yet, but they were really happy that somebody was saying something.
In the documentary, your mother talks about, even in this situation, there's sometimes gray.
Yeah.
Of uncertain how to feel. And she said that even though of her father, your grandfather, she said, even though he's a horrible, awful person, I still know him as my dad, as messed up as he was. How did you reconcile? Because that's how, I applaud her for telling her how she feels, knowing that people will judge how she feels.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, I have such immense respect for her. This film wouldn't have been possible without her. She gave the archives, she helped with the grandpa interview. But I think it's really important to remember that it is really complicated when you are related to somebody like this. And, you know, often, you know, society expects us to have these very black and white responses. And that doesn't give a lot of room and can be quite reductive to what the experience actually is, where you can hold some love or, you know, with the hatred of them or what they did. So I just felt that it was really important to show the different degrees of that in my family.
And you talk about generational trauma, but you also talk about individual trauma. This triggered emotions and feelings of your own because you were sexually assaulted, not by your grandfather, but by another individual. So this was, I mean, this is the depths at which you go to help other people, because I'm watching this documentary and every time I would ask myself, why is she doing this documentary? The answer would come to my mind. She really wants to help other people, because no one would share these secrets without the goal of helping someone else.
I just felt that if I put it down, that I was going to be complicit in some way. Like, once I knew what I knew, it really wasn't an option.
How is your family now?
Not much different. I think that when I started this, I was maybe a little naive, setting out thinking if we just talk about this, we can, you know, fix it all. But it runs deep. It runs really deep, and I learned a lot about the different ways that different generations approach talking about this. And I think that's what the film does really well, is shows, you know, my mom's generation, my sister's, mine. We're all just trying to progress and get a little bit better. But my generation, we have a lot more tools and we have better language to help us address this earlier. So, but I know that there's, whether it's abuse or not, a lot of families have this dynamic in them where we're just trying to figure out how to talk through these things.
Well, it's a complex, it is hard, but it is one of the most brilliant documentaries that I have seen, and I watch a lot of this.
Thank
But
you.
It's weird to say congratulations because of the nature of it, so I'll say I applaud how brave you were in trying to find healing.
It means a lot from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.